Hello everyone, my name is Trambitas. I'm the head of product at Johnson Labs, and I'm very happy to be here to talk about Annotation Lab 4, an end-to-end no-code platform for text, PDF, and image annotation, but also for model training and model testing. The tool is powered by Johnson Labs NLP libraries, and it comes currently in 3 editions: Community, which is based on Spark NLP and which is the free edition, and Healthcare and Visual uh, editions, which are based on Healthcare NLP library and Visual NLP library, and 2 other editions are in the making, the legal and the finance ones. The tool is very easy to deploy on AWS and Azure Marketplace, as well as on any Kubernetes server via one-liner deployment. You can get it on our install page, and where you can also ask for a healthcare and visual trial licenses, so you can also check the healthcare and the visual features. So my presentation today will be very practical. I will show a couple of demos of the new UI and of the new and exciting features that we have added to the tool. I will present each one of the 3 editions, the community one, the healthcare version, as well as the visual edition. So let's start with the community version, and I'm going to show the resources available and how to use them. So once you connect to the Annotation Lab, you will see the project dashboard, which is able to manage a large number of projects. We have implemented search and filtering features for those in the case where your large organization handles a large number of projects and teams and different types of tasks. So projects can be grouped together in custom groups that you create easily via the UI. You can assign different names to those groups and different colors so that you can easily identify the projects interesting to you. You can share your projects with your team, and those projects will become available in their dashboard. What we have added as new features for the project dashboard is the ability to clone projects, and this is very useful if you want to do different experiments with your projects, train different versions of models on different versions of the annotations. You can also import and export projects, so it will be very easy to move projects around between the different instances of the Annotation Lab. If you import a project, you will become the owner of the project. Everything else will stay the same, so the same team, the same annotations, a full audit trail on all the annotations, and of course the link to the models. Another very important resource is the Models Hub. It has a full integration with the NLP Models Hub, and it's a gateway for the NLP Models Hub, from where you can search for models you need. You can explore them. When you find an interesting model, you can simply download it locally to your instance of the Annotation Lab and then use it in your new project. So on the models page, you can see all the models which have been added to this instance, the ones which are downloaded from the Models Hub, the ones which are trained within the Annotation Lab, or the ones which are manually uploaded, maybe trained on your Python notebooks or on your Python scripts, and then uploaded here for testing purposes or for improvement purposes. Different operations are available for the models. You can rename those. If you want to keep track of different experiments, you can upload them through S3, download them if you want to deploy them in production, or delete them when you don't need them anymore. You can easily also import or upload models that are trained outside of the Annotation Lab and that you want to reuse in your project. You simply upload the zip file of the model, you define the task which it does, and then in the case where you are working with NER or assertion status labels, add the labels. We have a dedicated page for embeddings where you can find all the embeddings available to the instance, and one page for rules where you can define regex-based rules with context, with the suffix and the prefix, which of course can be used for programmatic labeling. So those rules are editable. You can add new rules. You can import and export them. Now let's see how we can create a new project in the Annotation Lab. Sorry. Okay. So for creating a new project, you just have to specify a title for the project, a description, and a link to the annotation guidelines if those are available. Then you can put together your team of annotators by simply choosing between the users available on the system and adding them with a specific role. Then you can choose among the available templates. In this case, I chose NER, the NER template. On the right side, you can see the taxonomy as well as a preview of the export of the annotations. Now, let's see the actual configuration, which I obtained by default. So here is the list of entities together with the links to the NER onto 100 model. Let me paste some relations and then save the configuration. This will redirect me to the import page from where I can add new tasks. For this example, I will simply add a txt file, which will become a new task in my project. In the tasks view, we see all the documents which have been imported for annotation or pre-annotation purposes. We have different filtering features according to the status of the task, according to the author, the tags which are assigned to the or associated to the task, to who is the annotator, who is the reviewer, and so on. We can also search based on keywords on the content. The search will apply on the content of the task. Okay, now let's see how we can annotate this task. Okay, so by clicking on it, we are redirected to the annotation screen. You see automatic pagination is available for all text-based projects. Okay, on the upper side, you see the taxonomy that we have created and the key shortcut which is assigned to each entity. You can simply select an entity from the taxonomy and then select the text you want to annotate with that entity. On the right side, you see that the regions keep adding up. You see all the annotations, which can be grouped by label or can be shown in the order they appear in the text. Once you have finished the annotations, you save and move to the next page. Here, you will continue the process, and I'm going to show you how relations can be added as well. So once you have annotated some entities, you simply click on them and then add with the R key shortcut, you add a relation. You can assign a tag to the relation as well as a direction. In the right side, you see that relations are added, and while you do mouse over one of those two boxes, the corresponding relation will be highlighted in the text. As I mentioned before, you can see the annotations grouped by label, right? You see all the events, all the people, locations that were added. And in the versions tab, you see all the versions, a complete audit trail of everything which happened, all the annotations which were created for this particular task. So once you submit the task, the status will change. It will now become submitted, and it will be taken into account in the next training. Now let's see how we can train a project. For this, I will import a larger project which contains a larger number of annotations. It's about recipes, so a general purpose project, which was annotated by a team of annotators from our company. Okay, so I see here 200 tasks, which are all have the status submitted. I have all control over the project that I imported. I can change the name of it. I can check the configuration and customize it if necessary. As you see, I just have a list of labels here. I don't have any model plugged in. So I'm gonna go now to the train page. Oh, sorry. Here you can see for each task who worked on the task, as well as if there are any comments created for the task. Okay, on the training screen, you can set up the training parameters. You can define the training parameters either in the synthetic view or by using this wizard. the main things that you should choose between on those screens is how you want to, the number of epochs, how you want to divide your data between training and testing data, either randomly or via the tags that have been assigned to the tasks. Then you click the train button. The training begins and this screen appears. So after the model is training, it will be automatically deployed and some checking will be done in the backend. So once the model has been trained, you see this successful trained message, and the model will become available on the models page. Okay, so if we navigate to the models page, the last model in the list is the newly trained model. If I click on the logs, I see the logs for each epoch, and at the end we see the precision, recall, and F1 score for all the labels that we included into the taxonomy. Okay, now this model will become available to all the users which have access to the Models Hub, and they will be able to reuse it in their projects. Now let's see, I'm going to select 3 of the test tasks and then pre-annotate them just to see how good this model is doing on the test data. Okay, I see here the configuration which will be used for pre-annotation, and I validate. And once the pre-annotation is done, I click on one of the tasks, and in the versions tab, I see the predictions are now available and the confidence score filter. So if you go to the annotation view, you will see that for each annotation, which actually represents a prediction which was automatically generated by Spark NLP, we have an associated confidence level. We can filter based on that confidence level, and then we can clone the remaining annotations and continue working on them. We can also compare the different versions of the annotation between each other together, and also compare them with the pre-annotations generated by Spark NLP or with the predictions. Okay, so now we have the data that was edited by the annotator. We submit it, and the status of the task will change. In the right side, you see that we have the trace of everything which happened. So the pre-annotations, which were generated by Spark NLP, the original manual annotations generated by the annotator, and then the changes that I did on the predictions from Spark NLP. Okay. Okay, one step we have made towards responsible AI was to add to the Annotation Lab 3 quality tests. The first one, the bias test, is trying to detect the skewness in training data towards an underrepresented population. In this case, when we observe that the data is biased, that the model is biased, we try to automatically tag the next tasks that should be annotated by the annotation team in such a way that the training data will be more balanced and the resulting model will be less biased. We also added a feature that will allow the automatic identification of label errors, and we automatically suggest corrections for those errors which appear in order to obtain better quality of the annotations. And finally, we also added a test for model robustness, which will actually they consist in testing or changing a little bit the input data for the model, adding some perturbations or some subtle changes, and check if the model still behaves the same way, if the predictions are the same level of accuracy. And if it's not the case, or for the labels for which it's not the case, we try to augment the training data so that the model will be able to better recognize those cases and treat those cases in the future runs. So the point is to obtain a more robust model which will be able to better perform in real world situations. Now let's see how this looks on the Annotation Lab side. So I have here a project with some clinical documents. I have 120 tasks and 40 of them are tagged as test tasks. I go to the model quality tab and I start computation, for label errors, for robustness, and also for bias. This will, okay, so currently we only support bias testing for gender. Going now to the clusters page, we see here all the processes which are running in the background. We see there are 3 tests which are currently being executed, and it takes a while until those are done. And once they are ready, for instance, for the label quality test, we will get a list of possible errors together with the solution on how to fix them. So we have this populated list. We are able to apply the fixed strategies automatically suggested by the tool in batches. We can apply, for instance, here I'm applying them to 100, I'm applying 100 fixes in one click of a button. And at the end, those will be corrected in the actual annotation data. The second test is for robustness. So here we, as I mentioned before, we get some sample sentences that we pre-annotate with the model. Then we apply some changes to those sentences, like changing in punctuation, or we introduce typos, or we strip punctuation, or we add more context. And we try to see how the model behaves on those types of new inputs. Where we find that the model is, for the green values in this table, it means that for those particular entities, the model is very robust to those changes in the input data. But where we have orange values, it means that the model is not doing that well. For instance, when predicting imaging findings on capitalized words, right? So normally those are on lowercase in the training data. So here we need to augment the training data in such a way that the model will be able to recognize the entities when such perturbations appear. Now, the solution for this is to add new training data, augment the training data in such a way that the robustness of the model will increase. Finally, for testing the bias, the gender bias, we are calculating the F1 scores for females and males, and we try to identify the situations where there are very big gaps between the two, which will mean that the model is biased towards one of those two populations. In this case, the model is not biased. We have access to different charts which will help us identify the problem. And in the case where the model is biased, we will tag the tasks which are in incomplete status, right? The new tasks with the population tag, so that the user will know, okay, so now I need more charts about females. I'm going to annotate those first so that I balance a little bit my training data. If you want to learn more about the quality test that we are working on, make sure that you don't miss Basil Kokaman's presentation tomorrow about the automated bias, robustness, and data quality testing for the NLP models. Okay, to recap, Annotation Lab community is free forever. It has unlimited features, so no limitation on the number of users or projects or models or tasks or annotations or pre-annotations or training or the number of servers or the size of the cluster where you deploy it. It includes everything, so a full integration with the NLP Models Hub, project management features, role-based access, support for different workflows, analytics and the inter-annotators agreement, charts, model training and testing, pre-annotations, security and privacy features. So everything is included. You can use it for personal purposes, for research, as well as for commercial purposes. And the plan is it will stay forever free. Now let's see what the healthcare edition brings in addition to the community one. So first of all, it brings access to more than 500 pre-trained models, which cover clinical and biomedical name entity recognition for more than 400 entities. different assertion status detection models, clinical relation extraction models, de-identification, NER models. It also offers support for programmatic labeling via rules. Those are based on, those can be created based on regexes or based on dictionaries. It also offers model tuning features. So you can build your model on an existing pre-trained model from the NLP Models Hub that you will just maybe enhance with annotations on or with new data from your own documents. Okay, so in order to be able to use the healthcare version, you have to have a healthcare NLP license. Let me show you how to import one. So there are two ways, either via the integration with My Johnson Labs. So you click the login button, you put in your credentials from My Johnson Labs, you authorize the application to read the licenses which are available in your account. You then choose one of the licenses and import it. Now these licenses will become available to Annotation Lab, and we will be able to use the paid features. So one of those is the rule creation feature. So here we can create now, edit the existing rules or import new rules. Okay, so let's import another rule that we are going to use in our project. So a rule for detecting age. Okay. Rules are stored in JSON format. They have different features, different parameters that you can tune in order to specify how the rules should apply. So here I'm creating a new rule for detecting sections. I choose subtoken because I want to annotate chunks. And here I put in a dictionary with section names. And for this, I don't need additional context. I'm going to save the rule. And now this rule will become available when I create my project. Let's see how this goes. So I'm going to create a new project, add one team member to my project as annotator, and then go ahead with the NER template. So I'm going to choose the NER template and apply it to my configuration. And then I'm going to explore the existing models for the Annotation Lab. I'm putting in clinical keyword and choosing the NER clinical, all the labels included there. I'm going to also choose relation model, relation clinical, add all the relations supported by this, and also an assertion status model, which will help me detect whether the problems, the tests, and treatments are valid or not. From the rules tab, I'm going to select 4 of the rules and click add rule. Those will be added to my configuration. And now I can check how the configuration looks. I see the NER elements connected to NER clinical. I see that some of the colors are not very nice, so I have the option to choose the color to use for highlighting those entities in the text from the visual component of the configuration. Okay, I see that some of the labels are have the assertion true tag, others are linked to rules, and others are linked to relation model. I'm going to deploy this configuration and then import some clinical documents to see how those can be pre-annotated with this current configuration. So you see that those tasks are currently empty. No annotations are created for them. So we can go to the tasks view, select all of those, and then click pre-annotate. We'll then see the configuration, which is currently deployed for pre-annotation. We can click pre-annotate, or if we see that we don't have the right configuration deployed, we can deploy it. So now, after clicking on the task, on the labeling screen, we see a lot of annotations which were automatically generated by the model, by the configuration which was deployed. We see problems related to tests or to treatments. All of those have been automatically identified using the pre-trained models together with the rules. You see that we have assertion status for the problems, whether this means that we are able to identify whether the problem is present, is not present, it was in the past, or it related to somebody else. So in the right side, you see all the annotations together with all the relations. Okay, so you are able to, by moving over the relations, they are highlighted in the text. So this way, your annotation team does not have to start from scratch. You start from an already annotated document that you only have to maybe do some minor edits or some minor changes in order to complete. Right. In this example, I'm adding a section name which was not covered by my rule, and also I'm able to correct the annotations generated by the model. Right, so I can group those by label type, so it will be easier for me to annotate or maybe to check. For each one of the annotations, we have a confidence score generated by the label, and we are able to add metadata for those annotations as well. Okay, so relations, as I said, they are named, and they have a direction, they also have a score, and everything which all the manual annotations will be automatically scored as having confidence 1. Those generated by the model can have a lower confidence. Okay, so now in this type of situation, the annotators just need to check the pre-annotations, maybe tune them a little bit, submit the tasks, and then go ahead and train the model as I showed you before. Okay, what does the visual edition brings extra compared to the community and to the healthcare versions? Well, it offers the possibility, the option to annotate on top of PDFs and on top of image documents. We have dedicated templates for visual projects, like per region, visual NER labeling. Those are the templates that you should use if you want to annotate your image or PDF documents. So this is how the annotation is done. So we'll have a very similar interface as the one for the text documents. On the upper side, you see the taxonomy. We have search features, text-based search features on top of those images. We have the option to easily click on a token that will be highlighted and annotated. We support chunk annotation, sticky and custom area annotation, multi-line annotation, automatic text recognition. So for each one of those annotated chunks that you see here, we'll have the recognized text, and we can add metadata information. Okay. We also have zoom features and support for relations, right? So on top of identifying entities in the PDF documents, you can also annotate relations existing between those entities. So those relations can be tagged or labeled, and they can have a direction as well. We also offer support for pre-annotation for the visual NER project. So we have already a relatively important number of healthcare, finance, and legal pre-trained models that can be used to pre-annotate PDF documents and image documents. Pre-annotation is done exactly the same as for the text project. So you simply select the tasks you want to pre-annotate and run pre-annotation with your visual NER configuration. So predictions have a score, you can filter them, and you can edit them as in the case for of the regular text projects. One very important feature that we added on top of all those visual features is the ability to train or tune a visual NER model without writing a line of code. You just need to select visual NER from the training type options, select the number of epochs and the batch you want to use, how do you split your data, and then just click the train button. Active learning features are available as well for the visual projects, visual NER projects, for the text projects, for the healthcare projects, as well as for the community projects. So this was this is it. So I showed you the major features which are available in Annotation Lab 4.0. Now it is your turn to try it out. You can easily install it via using the instructions on the install page, and you can also ask for a trial license for the healthcare and visual features if you want to play with them. Thank you.